Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today on the EUC pool announcement show for the EUC. It's the first time we've had the pleasure of doing something like this. I've got some of our finest commentators, announcers, analysts all ready to break down the divisions once we reveal them. The big reveal, show you who will be in these grand groups at the EUC upcoming. I am joined first with two of the organizing members of the event. I have the Federation President, Andrea Furlan, and the tournament director, the director of the LOC, Liam Grant, from Limerick, Ireland right now. Gentlemen, Liam, we'll start with you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing great. It's a beautiful day here in Ireland. Things are going really smoothly in terms of preparing for the event, so very happy to be part of this and looking forward to everyone seeing the pools and getting all the analysis and the banter started about the event.
Who's going to win? Who's going to win? That's what everybody wants to know. But we got a while to get there. Adi, how are you? Where are you coming from today?
Well, I'm still in Vienna, so my town, even though I'm Italian, I'm really excited about this tournament and the whole season that we are starting next week with the invites. So a lot of good Ultimate going on here in Europe.
Wonderful. Well, let's get stuck right into it. The EUC, biggest event on the calendar in Europe this year, most definitely happens every 4 years. The last iteration was in Győr, Hungary. Everybody in this picture was definitely all there. I know that much. Great iteration of it. They all have their elements to set them apart. What do you see being different this time around in Limerick, coming from Győr 4 years ago, Adi?
Well, between Győr and Limerick, there were 3 years of pandemic, and definitely all the European ultimate scene has been affected with that. What we see with this tournament is that our members, the federations, are actually the same number of nations are represented for this year in Limerick, but they decided to consolidate their strength and focus on 1 or 2 divisions when maybe in the previous edition they were running with 3 teams. And what actually I expect from this consolidation is that the level will be much higher and many more close games will be recorded and broadcasted by ulti.TV. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun.
You heard it here first. Adi Furlan predicting a record-breaking amount of universe point games is what I caught out of that. Excellent stuff. Liam Grant, the local on the ground over there. Tell us a little bit about the city of Limerick, the venue, what kind of support you're getting with the tournament host place, University of Limerick, and tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we have a fantastic venue in Limerick. So the tournament is held at the University of Limerick, which is where World Masters was last year, and it's like a Olympic village for the 2 weeks around the tournament. You know, I think we have, I'm pretty sure every team is actually staying on site at the tournament accommodation. So everyone's going to be in the student houses, which are self-catering, and it's going to create a great atmosphere, all within walking distance to the fields. There's great restaurants on site, gyms, climbing wall. There's a lot of cool stuff. So it's going to be like a big holiday Olympic village, which is great. The university do so much to accommodate us, and we've been working with them for over a decade with events like the Siege of Limerick. So we have a great relationship with them. The city are brilliant for getting behind us. You know, the tourism board, the council are all supporting us a little bit financially and a little bit with promoting the event and doing PR around it and helping grow the sport. So, yeah, we're very lucky in that Limerick is probably one of the lesser known cities of Ireland, but that means it's really, the city really rallies behind things like this. It's a big sporting city. Like you'll never find anywhere, I think, in Europe, a sporting campus that can compare to Limerick. It's really impressive.
Excellent here. That's a very proud man talking about his home turf right there. Adi, going back to you, Eurodisc remains the official disc of the tournament and for all European tournaments on the continent this year. What can you tell us about how the EUF and Eurodisc relationship and work together has been this season? How have you guys worked together?
Yeah, we as a European Ultimate Federation try to partner strategically with producer and vendors that are from Europe. So Tokai, for instance, for the shoes or for the gears, Force Ultimate, and of course also ulti.TV for the streaming. And Eurodisc is really, we are extremely happy to have them as a disc official disc sponsor and disc producer, and the quality and the professionality of this company is really great. They're extremely flexible, extremely fast also in producing and delivering their stuff. And also they have this so very close to the people. And for instance, last EUCF, they came with a disc printer, and you could print your disc with a picture of your team that you just had taken a few moments before. And this adds also something to the tournament that it's really great. Definitely will be great to have them also for the game disc, because we know that Eurodisc flies a little bit differently from other discs, and it is more stable, which is actually a big advantage when you play in the wind. And I was in Limerick last year for the World Masters, and I know it could get windy, and
I've heard of this.
People will love it with a disc that can bear much better the wind, also when it gets a little bit stronger.
Excellent, good stuff coming out of Eurodisc. Cutting edge stuff, in fact, printing on the spot discs at the tournament. I know they just did that in Pagnello last weekend, so kudos to them for the good work. Liam, back to picking your brain for some more local knowledge, I guess, but talk a bit more about Limerick. As far as, you know, a lot of us know, you go to an ultimate tournament, you see the airport, the pitches, and then the hotel, and then the airport on the way out. If people stay a little bit longer, come earlier, or get a little bit of time to get out of the wonderful campus setting that we're going to have there, what else is there to do, see, eat in Limerick? Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, it is a beautiful campus, but I do recommend leaving the campus from time to time. In the city itself, King John's Castle is a very cool place. You can visit and learn about the castle and do a little tour of it there. It's in the heart of the city, and it's actually where we had the tournament party last year. We had a little party there, which was kind of fun, but it's a really cool castle, and you can do like a tour in the history of it. I would then recommend going to my actual home county, which is Clare, which is about, you know, an hour away. You can go see the Cliffs of Moher. There's beaches. There's lots of traditional Irish music, and it's kind of heading more into the wild west of Ireland, the more rural areas where there's cows and pretty fields and lovely nature stuff. A national park there, the Burren. So that's where I'll be heading after the tournament for a little R&R by the beach in Lahinch, my hometown. And yeah, I think a lot of people actually did it last year, World Masters. I spotted a few people roaming around the West Coast and taking in the sights. A lot of us do it after a big event, tag along a little holiday, and there's lots to do in the West Coast of Ireland.
Excellent stuff. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be my first time in Ireland. Okay, thank you very much to our two administrators here. We're going to keep moving on with the show here. We're going to get to the meat of the party, meat of the sandwich here with our analysts. Before we leave, we will put these two guys on the spot nice and quick and see if, no breakdown, no finalists, semifinalists. We're not playing our way down the ladder here, but give us a champion in each division. Why don't we start with Audi?
In each division, so from the open, my head says UK, so GB. My heart hopes for Italy.
Of course.
And the women division, that's probably the most trickiest one. I expect the youth champions, U20 champions 2017, the Netherlands, to make it this year, because they are exactly in the right age and with a lot of good players and experience to take the trophy. And mixed, that's also, I guess that GB will make it, but Germany will give them a good good chance, so a good fight. Yeah.
All right, good picks there from the Prez. Liam, you see them all the same, or something?
Very different, yeah.
I got a feeling there's going to be something different.
Yeah, it's actually hard divisions to call this year. Obviously, Open, you still probably have, I think, GB in Germany, and maybe Italy to extent out on top. I'm going to go Germany. I think they're going to finally do it. They were so close in Győr. I thought they were going to win it, but GB took it in the end. But they're kind of aging up those British lads. So I'm going to say Germany in the Open division. I'm going to say Ireland for the mixed division, which is a bit of a spicy pick. We've looked at the roster. You have the likes of Sarah Melvin coming back.
Spicy pick.
Ferdy Rogers and Sam Murphy, all the Ranelagh guys. And they're putting a lot into this. A few of them are going to be moving, I think, after this event. So they've a really strong roster, and they want to get a big win on home soil. So that'll be an advantage to them as well. They know the Limerick conditions very well. So Ireland and mixed is what I'm going for. And then women's, I'm going to go for Germany. I thought they were very strong in Győr as well, and had that wild match against Italy. They got knocked out.
Yeah. Chesney and
it was
Ferolfi almost single-handedly took
I thought they looked the best team at the event. At times, obviously, the Irish women went to do it. The Irish women are a different kind of setup this year. I think, I'm going to go German women. I think looking at Germany from the World Games, I think they're going to bring a lot of that strength to all three divisions this year, and are going to be very competitive, Germany, which is great.
Great to hear it. So we've got our picks from our directors. We'll be looking forward to seeing these smiling faces greeting us to the event in a few months' time. Liam and Audie, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for being a part of the show.
Thank
Grazie.
you. Bye-bye.
Grazie.
Ciao.
And moving on in our show today, onto the good stuff. Let's talk about the ultimate. Let's talk at the best division with the wonderful ladies here. We'll talk about the women's division. And Rachel Tosnerova. Lucky to have them on the show today. Hannah, let's start with you. How are you doing? Where are you at today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Stefan. Very pleased to be here amongst yourself. You know, a rose between two thorns you are in the best ladies. Calling in from Portsmouth, my seaside hometown, where it's been beautiful and sunny all day. And now that I'm trapped indoors to be on a call, it started to rain. So perfect timing.
Perfect time to start talking a little ultimate. Get ready for this season. Rahel, you are calling from somewhere in the Czech Republic, I assume. Tell us where you're at and how you're doing, and what's coming up for you as well.
Correct. Great to be here, guys. I am tuning in from České Budějovice, where I have permanently moved right after EUCF, I would say, last year, in order to quietly and out of the public ultimate scene, grow my belly to very specific dimensions and eventually pop out a new addition to the ultimate community in May.
Exciting stuff. It means you're sidelined, so not on the Czech team. That'll be the first in a while. We've not had either, in fact, of the Toshtis on a Czech national team, but here to talk about it nonetheless. We'll start. Every division has a unique amount of teams, and as such has a different tournament format schedule, if you would, how your path to finals goes. We've had a chance to see all this information. So what can we see? Let's see if we can get a graphic coming up here at the same time. Would be lovely, or as it eventually gets there. But Hannah, why don't you kick us off, whether we have something to look at or not right now, but start us off about this tournament format in the women's division.
So with the number of teams that we have, it's brilliant to see the creativity coming out of the scheduling organisers. So we have a couple of stages of pool play, but the initial format is going to be 3 pools of 3 teams, 1 pool of 4 teams, and then a shuffle for a second pool stage. Don't try and focus too hard on exactly how the shuffle's going to work and shake out. That will obviously, play out as it goes. And then we're moving to the power pool stage after that, with no results being carried over. So, Rahel, do you want to take us a bit from power pools? What's going to happen?
Exactly. So as Hannah said, don't worry about the round robin stage too much, because that's just extra games for you to warm up in. And then the power pool stage is 2 upper pools and then 1 lower pool. But don't worry if you end up in the last one, because there's still a chance for you to continue through the system all the way, maybe even into the final.
All the way to the final, if you're lucky enough, if you're good enough. A lot of shuffling around there, a lot of, you're never dead in this system. You can lose your way to some tough situations, but win your way back in. How many teams are there, as a reminder, in the women's division this year to make such an interesting scheduling?
It's an awkward number for sure. So 3 times 3 plus 4.
Or that's 11.
Almost,
No.
yes.
Nah, that's 13. Oh, my goodness. Well done, Steph. I used to teach math at one stage in my life. But
No
now
one
we're
believes
into
that.
Ultimate. And so here it is, ladies. We've got the women's division in front of us. We are the first to have a look at this. The grand reveal. Let's have a look at the pools. These are the participating countries. Defending champion Ireland, a great final from 4 years ago over the Swiss. There are the 13, not 11 countries. And how will they be organized into these pre-shuffled pools? Champions, Belgium, and Great Britain. Initial reactions. Let's start with Hannah. What do you? Oh, and this is the big group then. I assumed it was going to stop at 3. So the first group is of 4. The Austrians in there as well. Hannah, first reaction.
Yeah, this is looking like a very tasty pool indeed. We've seen a little bit of new blood coming into, I think, all of these teams. Certainly the Irish defending champions had such a fantastic time in Gjord back in 2019. It's been a long time coming, this tournament. But I think it'll be interesting to see how Great Britain fare. They've got a very large roster, very young players coming on board there. Belgium will be a really interesting one, some really big, strong throwing units to their team. And actually, I think across the divisions, having adequate throwing prowess in sunny Limerick, which is, of course, known for its extremely temperate conditions all of the time. Anyone who was at World Masters last season could tell you about that. But this is looking like a really interesting pool. Austria, certainly their club team back at the World Championships, had a really nice-looking roster, struggled a little bit. So, yeah, I think this should be a really fun for team pool.
Exciting first pool. Rachel, any further insights, any teams there you got big expectations with? How do you see this pool? How do you see this pool panning out, actually, in the end? Who's going to get through this pool into the, even though there's the shuffle anyways, we still will have people winning and losing these pools before the reshuffles. So how does this one pan out?
As much as I hate giving any predictions whatsoever, looking at the rosters that we've gotten available from the different sources, I think for this one, it could be Belgium and Great Britain kind of having the slightly upper hand, just because as much as so many of these women's teams have had an influx of fresh blood from some of the younger players, and we see some more senior or more experienced players moving into the mixed division in particular for Ireland, for sure. I believe that Belgium and Great Britain have retained enough experienced players for the women's division to give them that sort of solid start for the beginning of the tournament, which might change eventually because the teams will get better as they progress together throughout the tournament.
Interesting take. Good to see that. Pool A. Let's move right along into Pool B and see who's up next. Defending silver medalists, the Czech Republic and the Dutch, the Netherlands. Let's start with Rachel this time. Tell us about the three teams there. What do you like about this group? What interests you about this group?
Tough one, very tough one. These are, so I'm going to quickly start with the Czech Republic because obviously that's where I know every name on the roster. I can tell you that it's unlike maybe expected that most of the players would be coming out of the Euros teams of East Bloc and 3SB. There's plenty of other players representing other clubs from the country. So it is a big mix, but the Czech Republic, they have been trying to prepare for this season since last year already. So there's been quite a lot of events, including Tom's Tourney last year, where they have started their preparation early, basically, even though the final selection has only been made at the end of March. For the Swiss, I was also quite surprised about the variety of teams where the players are coming from. And that is actually the case for the Netherlands as well. This will be very difficult for me to say. I do think all of these three teams have about 4, maybe 5 very, very experienced veteran players almost to say that they can rely on. And now the question is, are they going to make good use of them? So I have to pick, right, Steph? Is that the game?
You don't have to pick, but we like the picks better.
I just, they just seem very even in this group, but I am going to give the roster without me the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to go for Czech Republic on top for this one.
The Tosnerova list, Czech Republic, shocker pick from the Czech herself. Hannah, what else can we add to this division? What else do you see here?
Well, yeah, besides the, devastating absence of two players who are investing in the future of the Ultimate community, I think, the Czech roster does look very tasty, some talent in there. There were some murmurings back when the Swiss got their silver medal about the format and how that had been played through. And I think so certainly the Swiss team this year, they'll be fighting to say, no, we absolutely deserved to get through to that final. There was no soft way into the bracket. And certainly there was a lot of tough competition 4 years ago. But the Netherlands is going to be really interesting. There's a lot of talent coming from the Guts club side. Notable absence of Lola Dam, who's chosen to take the season sort of, a bit more low-key this year. One of the players we were very excited to see potentially coming out in the women's division for the Netherlands. It's a younger coaching unit. So, again, we're not seeing as many, I think, of the sort of powerhouse throwers that we know from the Netherlands on their side of the roster, but certainly a lot of very athletic individuals coming out, which I think will be a fine matchup for the Swiss, certainly. But yeah, this could be really anybody's. I don't know. I don't like to try and pick. I haven't been pressed to make any predictions yet. So I'm going to go...
I'm never going to press you, but I'll ask you once nicely. Would you like to tell us who you think will win this group, Hannah?
I am going to go for some early stage confidence behind the Swiss. Certainly some good experienced players on their roster. And nice to see Lara Kunzelman coming back from playing all of the round net all of the time.
All round net all the time. She's back, baby. Ultimate's back. She's back with it. I think I'll round out the group just to say I would have chosen the Dutch to win this group. I didn't realize Lola wasn't going to be there. Great information, Hannah, as we've been getting all throughout the show today. But, I think what I saw out of the Groot ladies at Tom's last year, they seemed to gel well. And, you never know, they could catch fire there, too. Let's have a look at the next division and see what else we got here. Uh-oh. Well, Germany, Sweden, Spain. Let's just keep swapping our order here. We're going to start with Hannah. First impressions, what do you think?
Oh, I like the look of this pool. I'm really excited to see Germany and Sweden play each other. Sweden have a lot of experience coming out of Valkyria, E6 women that are on their roster. Going to have
A noticeable absence in the shape of Vendela Viktorsson.
she's not going to be playing. Unfortunately, very pivotal in their indoor championship win at the end of last season. So can they do it with more players? We'll have to see if they can compete outdoors at the same level. Germany obviously had great expectations at the last European Championship and then had that absolute howler of a game against the Italians, I believe in quarterfinals. So again, they have a really good looking roster. German Ultimate in general last season was so strong across the board, from the games level all the way through down. Spain are a little bit more of an unknown quantity for me. They have a very large roster, certainly lots of talent amongst their ranks. But I reckon this one will go Germany again. In terms of my early stage, you've got that confidence behind you, but I think Sweden later stages will, come through. And if they have perhaps a smaller roster for their, top set, they might want to rest those ladies up so they can have the legs for those big comebacks in later stages.
You got to win late in the tournament. That's how it's going to be. Rachel, what can you add to this group so far we see in front of us?
Like we said, not that it matters too much what the pool stages end up being like. But in any case, so the Swedes, in case you didn't know, will have the Eklunds like they did in Gör in 2019. For Germany, obviously, there will be some big names still, but also a lot of new additions to the roster. I can bring it up here for myself, maybe. So, yes, Anna Gianna will be there. Yes, Kyoko Benavides will be there. So these are your people to rely on for sure. But again, some very young players joining from the junior division, now old enough for the senior one as well. Because in case you didn't know, in Germany, you're only allowed to play the division you're actually in, apparently. So if you still are eligible for under 24s, then you're not allowed to even try out for the senior team. That's the story with Ultimate Nations, exactly. And for Spain, obviously, to most, Spain is known for their beach successes, so to speak. But playing Enraladas last year twice at Windmill has made me pretty certain that they have been practicing on grass as well and getting better and better at it. So Helena Andres will be captaining for Spain, so high spirit levels are ensured. But you've reminded me at the last pool that the throwing abilities will be quite important. And here Spain, I think they're going to have good enough, they will have some good throwers, not being afraid to use the wind in their favor. With the Swedes, I am not so super sure because they tend to have a certain type of game that, from what I've seen so far, is not super adjusted to working with the wind, to say it diplomatically, I suppose. And then Germany, they love their dumps and swings, but maybe that is just what I've traditionally felt like about German teams. So maybe they will surprise me with some big throws and a bit more aggressive approach to the game. If I have to pick, I'm gonna go for the wild card of Spain.
Wow, you're really living, you're hanging it out there. Did you want to give an opinion there, Hannah, before we move on?
Well, it's interesting, the point that we made about the under-24s and junior divisions and kind of whether or not you allow players to play in more than one division. I think the Swedes are also, just in general, they'll have some people that will be notably absent from their senior squads because they are focusing more on that youth sort of level, that under-24 side, which I think is just generally a transitionary period. In Sweden, we still see some of the kind of more established legacy names sort of, out there and playing, but there is a big change coming out of Sweden, which is really exciting to see clubs like Hufvud Örebro, which hopefully I pronounced correctly. But yeah, I think it should be fun. I would also combat the the ability of the Swedes to throw in non-temperate conditions, because I still remember watching, I think it was Valkyria back in Bruges in the post-pandemic European Club Championships, which became very interesting underfoot conditions, and they certainly were no strangers to throwing themselves around. So maybe if the wind picks up their discs and makes them a little bit errant, they should be, I think, be just fine to redeem themselves.
Happy to check their bodies around for any errant throw anyways. Well, good news. I think for me, I'd be hard pressed to see the Germans not winning that group. But I think, as you both detailed, we got some good action coming up in Pool C. Let's have a look at Pool D, which should be our final pool. We should know who this is by process of elimination. We all certainly do. There's those two nearly identical flags with the green and the blue changing. Italy and France and Polska will play with them. That is an interesting group. I think it's Rachel's turn to start this one off. What do you think, Toshti?
I'll go with Rachel on this one.
Rachel,
sure.
Thanks. Rachel. I gotta spit it out. I gotta get it out quicker, easier. Rachel.
Oh, good. Well, Steph, Italy is actually the only secretive country for now in terms of their roster.
They're like the Japan of World Ultimate.
Exactly. So the final roster has been selected, sort of, but actually, due to some administrative delays, so to speak, it has not been announced yet, and the selectors are also not 100% sure yet that everyone that has been selected will eventually confirm their attendance. It is a very busy season for some of you, not for me anyway. I'll be watching ulti.TV. That's what I'll be doing.
That a girl.
But in any case, so the roster is still kind of a question mark.
This sounds like a Davide control grip to me, but there could be more to it. Doubtful.
If you have any
carry
insight,
on.
if you have any insights, leave us notes in the comments anyway. So there will be some big names still. Those Scazieris are coming.
Scazzieri.
Yes, those two. Gaia Pancotti will be making an appearance as well. So obviously quite a few shout players for sure, but conveniently mixed up with other great Italian ultimate women. For France, another one of those teams where the prominent Yaka club is not having the majority of the players. We actually see quite a lot of names that have only just made a name for themselves at JJUC. So if you've enjoyed the junior action from Wrocław last summer, then you're definitely to follow France in this pool. And the same kind of goes for Poland. They have been improving on the club scene as well as on the national scene, but so far I feel like they still have a mark to make on the national team's scene. So obviously, them coming from my region, I would like them to have that breakthrough in Limerick. But for now, this will be a tough matchup between Italy and France. And again, depending on a million different aspects. I hate the picks so much because I know what it feels like to watch this and be like, what is she
What an idiot.
saying?
They don't know anything. Oh my God. Why would they say that?
Okay, we don't. I think you are all great players, and this is nonsense, and it's only to make you, I don't know, prove us wrong, basically.
Yeah, that Tosnerova. I'll show her.
Italy. La, Italy. Ooh.
Excellent. We're twisted arms and getting picks out of these ladies. Hannah, give us your thoughts on the final group in the division here.
Yeah, I don't disagree too much. I mean, watching the Polish team at the indoor championships back in December was really awesome, especially the development that that team had. It was deliberately more on the developmental side, a lot of younger players on that roster traveling over to Lithuania. It is a shame that Ultimate players don't have more just, random funding to help everybody play all the Ultimate all the time. I know there are obviously a lot of athletes that have concerns about, fees. It's a very busy year coming up this season. But I think the Italians will probably retain enough quality to see themselves go quite deep into the tournament. I mean, when you have those big players that really, coming off a European Club gold medal for that, big chunk of the shout roster, I think they can't be underestimated. Will they pull off the upsets that we maybe saw last time out at the European Championships? Who's to say? They are missing two of the key units that were very part of that big quarterfinal we talked about earlier. The French, I think, do have enough experience alongside those very talented youth players that you've seen coming through. I think they would probably be my favourites to top this pool. Certainly in terms of, you have a lot of leadership. I believe obviously the French roster's been out for a while, so players like Elise Becquet come and bring in that sort of strength and especially that mental game. And certainly if we think about how the French did last time, they just played the format really well. So maybe they won't take the pool in the early stages, or maybe they'll do the opposite. Who knows? But I think there's a lot of talent in all these three teams. But yeah, I'd pick the French to top this one.
Great insights there. I think I'm going to hang with Toshti here, and I think I would take the Italians by a hair in that game as well. And who knows if that game will go on to matter or not. But yeah, that's a very exciting division there. Let's talk about the whole division. I think we're going to have a global look here. There's all four pools. We've talked about who we think will win each game. There is a shuffle we've discussed in the tournament format. Anyone could end up anywhere by the time we go into bracketology, so let's not think it up too much, but let's pick a winner and a finalist. Who will be in the finals and who will come out victorious? Let's go to the Czech Republic to start here. Rachel Tosnerova. You love your predictions. Let's get your greatest one as your last one here. Tell us what you think. Who is going to feature? Who is going to win?
Shouldn't I? I just feel like pointing to the screen and just saying the name of the flag that I point to. Listen, this is so rough because I think that these post-pandemic games are just about the best opportunity for any national team to grab the title. And I am personally super excited to watch all these teams with their new rosters, new additions. I think it's going to be an incredible event for some of the younger athletes to make their mark and make their name for the first time. So if I haven't mentioned you, please do something cool on the stream. Make sure to fill out your questionnaire so that you can be mentioned and you can really become big this season. And now just ignore me for the next few seconds as I make my completely random pick of GB.
GB will beat.
What?
Who are they going to beat?
The Germans?
GB over Germany. You heard it here first. Hannah, how do you see it shaking out in the end?
So I got to do the little cheaty thing where I was able to just flick through the rosters because there's a couple of teams really that, are just, it's so tight, the margins, the possibilities. I think to elaborate a bit more on Rachel's pick of GB, they have a lot of really high quality athletes, likes of Molly Wedge, Rachel Naden, as well as, those are obviously the ones that we've said a lot of their names last season. Some real big talent coming in from the club team. Spice joining up alongside Bristol et al. And there's a lot of parity and a lot of real competitive games happening domestically in the UK. So that's not a bad pick. But I'm going to ditch my home nation completely for my finalists. I'm going to go for Germany redeeming their heartbreak from the last European Championships and grabbing the medal. I think there's a lot of momentum coming out of Germany from last season, as I already mentioned. Certainly watching Seagulls versus Jinx back in Karole at the end of the outdoor season last year. I think that will be a really, really fun unit to watch them play. They always come out so professional, so united, and they have really great coaches behind them. Then the bridesmaids, I'm going to pick... This is really tricky. Oh...
I'll tell you what. We will have a much better idea after a few of the preparation tournaments that are coming up. And we're streaming them all. We're streaming them all.
We're streaming them all. We're streaming them, but you got to pick early. You got to be your picks. They count for so much more when you pick them out of thin air.
I am going to pick the Irish for a home field advantage, and also because in my mind that means you get more local people to come and watch the games in person live, but of course we'll be bringing the coverage to you so you can leisurely watch from the comfort of wherever you happen to be in the world. You don't need to
quit your job and come to Ireland. We just go log on your screen and we come to you.
My little half Irish is kicking with excitement at this stage. Hannah,
that's exciting stuff. Your Irish seed growing into a future little Ultimate player. I will follow you up. I will agree with Hannah. I say Germany is going to win this thing too. I still got this thing for the Dutch. I think the Dutch are going to find a way in, and Germany over Netherlands is my pick for the group. And I think that will wrap it up for today for the women's division. So first, a big thank you to Hannah and Rachel for their insights, wonderful information. Thank you for bringing it to the people, ladies. We will be seeing you around a lot in the upcoming tournaments. Hannah, Miss Tosnerova, will be seeing you online, as always, following the action, and we'll all be excited with wonder about when that little Frisbee human comes onto the planet.
Thanks so much, Steph. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank
and
you.
If you want to watch, because we aren't covering the spring invite in the women's division in London, so if you want to watch some spring invite women's action, there's going to be a showcase match in Leuven, which is going to be the Netherlands versus Belgium, which we are going to bring for your live streaming delectation.
Well, that is some exciting stuff. We'll see these women. Tom's tourney, spring invite, elite invite, most certainly, probably a lot of them at Windmill, some maybe London invite, all this before the European Ultimate Championship. A lot to get our palate wetted for in anticipation of this Grand Continental Championship coming up in July. So as such, we've got two more divisions to cover. Thank these ladies once again. We're going to move on into the Open division with two new guests and bring you more action and more revealing of these pools in the upcoming divisions. Thanks again, ladies. And moving right along with our EUC pool reveal show, we're into the Open division with our two esteemed commentators, analysts, Lorcán, Murray, and Sean Colfer. Gentlemen, how are we today? Let's move to Lorcán first. Where are you at? How are you doing? Tell us what's news.
I'm doing well. I'm in Bristol, down here in the south of England. Having a lovely time and enjoying myself. Very excited for this. Very excited for the upcoming season with ulti.TV.
Wonderful stuff.
Well,
Lorcán, Sean, where are you at? How are you?
Wimbledon, which is at the moment quite sunny after the terrible weather of the last few days. So doing better today.
They are known for a big tennis tournament over there.
Outside that window, we can hear them hitting tennis balls during the tennis tournament. We are that close.
Wow, cool stuff. Almost as cool as what we're going to sink our teeth into here, the EUC pool reveal. Before we get into the pools... the countries coming up. We are going to talk about the format as well. You see there are 15 countries competing GB, the defending champs, if we remember that match against Germany 4 years ago in Győr. Let's go to Lorcán first. Why don't you talk us through how this tournament format is going to work?
Sure. So, again, 15 teams. It's a little bit awkward, one off the perfect situation. So we've got some opening pools that, kind of like what Raquel was saying, somewhat inconsequential, but, you're fighting the whole way for better positioning. So the top two of each of the four pools will all go into the better power pool, and then there'll be crossover games between all the people who finished third, and they will go and there'll be, because there's 3 pools with 4, 1 pool with 3. Those crossover games will determine the last 2 spots in the power pools, and then the 2 losers of those crossover games will go into the third power pool with the 3 bottom finishing people from the 3 groups that had 4 in them in the normal pools. That leaves us with 3 power pools that have 5 teams in them each. The important thing to bear in mind here is the first 2 of those power pools will be goddamn bloodbaths, and the last one will be also a bloodbath, but maybe to a lesser extent. And the top 2 teams from that power pool can still get in to the knockout stage, whereas all the teams in the main 2 power pools will get into the knockout stage. The top 2 finishers will get byes straight to the quarterfinals. So it will be very interesting to see some of those games in the first 2 power pools, like how hard teams are going to go against each other when they're very aware that this could be the team that I face in the semi-final, this could be the team I face in the final later on in the tournament. So lots and lots of games, lots and lots of action to enjoy.
Exciting stuff. What I take from that, there will be blood bathing in Limerick, these bloodbath divisions. It's going to be some exciting stuff in the open division. Thank you for that breakdown, Lorcán. We're going to flip the page here. Let's get straight into this, get our first look at our first division, Pool A in the open division. And here's our first look. Germany, silver medalists from 4 years ago. The Czech Republic, up and coming as always. Sweden and Slovenia. Reactions first. Sean, what do you think of your first look at Pool A? What do you
Germany,
know?
obviously,
How
the
do you see it
losing
shaking out?
finalists last time around. They are going to be strong. They're going to be one of the favourites going into the tournament. A lot of really talented players, a lot of really good club teams to pull from. So even though they've had a few of their better men potentially go to mixed, they're still going to have a really, really good team. They're going to have a lot of good players. And the Czech Republic, I think, are a real, dark horse. Lorcán and I were talking about this in the build-up, and the Czech Republic are a team that have been developing in the last few years. They've had some really impressive results at past tournaments. Their clubs have had really impressive results in recent years. I think they could be really good. Sweden, not yet picked their team, but usually they've got some good athletes to pick from. They'll be pretty strong. Slovenia, I think, are going to struggle in such a deep group there, but great to see them at this tournament. So I would see it probably ending up as we see it there. Germany top and Czech Republic second, but the Czechs are not to be taken lightly for sure.
Excellent insights. Thank you very much. Lorcán, what do you want to add here in Pool A?
I agree with an awful lot of that. I saw, looking at the full field of the teams, there was probably 3 teams I picked that were fair shoo-ins for the semi-finals, and then there was another 3 teams I thought competing for that 4th semi-final spot. The rest is kind of a churn where it's hard to tell. Germany, for everything Sean said, sure they lost a couple to mix. There's so much talent on that German side. It is ridiculous. The one thing is, partially because of the under-24 season, it is a little older. And we'll see how that comes into effect as the tournament goes on. Some of the real bright young sparks from Germany's clubs, various club performances last year, which included Heidi's coming fourth, and aren't going to be available for them. So that'll be interesting. Czech Republic, I'm a big fan of the Czech Republic. They kind of grew at the same rate as Ireland for a long time. Ireland obviously have switched their focus. But the Czechs have just gone from strength to strength, and I think they're going to do quite well. They have David Novak's at the head of them, and I think he's going to put together, this team knows each other quite well. Fui and 3SB combined, so a lot of these players will have played together an awful lot, and they're just physical, and they go hard. They don't know when to give up. Sweden, like you said, haven't really been picked. The one thing I'd say about Sweden also have lost, they're kind of in a rebirth stage as a culture right now, the whole ultimate community there. That's going to hurt in an under-24 year when your senior team's being put together. They've also lost some pretty big players, Thomas Eriksson and Martin Hargeby, who I believe are the coaches for the under-24 team, so won't be playing. I did want to mention one thing about Slovenia. Huge shout out to Marko Sagadin and Matic Kujels. I'm sorry if I'm saying your names wrong. You can read a beautiful little blog that's on the EUC website that Fiona Vaughan put together. just talking to them about how they're trying to re-energize Ultimate in Slovenia and bring it to the fore. So just fantastic to see them at this event. But yeah, Germany take it, check, maybe bloody their nose on the way.
Like what you guys are both saying there, Slovenia, the winners of worst uniform at the last iteration of EUC by my estimation. But I do like Germany topping this group.
Are we going to get a running commentary on who won that uniform competition as well? You're going to give us a fashion kind of ranking for each pool? I would appreciate that, certainly.
I'll see what I can do. I think I did have the Germans as my uniform winning nation in Győr as well. I like the little flag hidden in their numbers. Otherwise, very clean, concise.
The real beauty in the beast pools here. Then.
I liked those. It is. Let's not get exactly.
That's sartorial standings as well as divisional ones.
Let's not get derailed with style here. Let's move ourselves along to Pool B and see what we're looking at. So the champs: Great Britain, Austria, France, and the Netherlands. I think we're going to start with Lorcán on this one. First impressions.
First impressions, I picked GB off the bat. France probably coming second. Austria and then Netherlands kind of battling it out. Austria, a little bit hard to know. Michael Zellinger, their coach, really knows what he's doing, but he's also in Southeast Asia until the 17th, so I wasn't actually able to talk to him too much about the team. Great Britain, obviously, they're the established power. They're coming in here backed by that Clapham outfit that is such a force in Europe, if not the reigning champions of Europe. And you expect them to deliver as they always do. With France, I think a little bit mercurial. They've obviously lost some of the bigger players from that World Games team last year, like Bosser and Becker and Solans over in the mixed division. But at the same time, they've got some phenomenal talent in the form of the Czech players. Quentin Roger, obviously one of just the best players in European Ultimate for a while now. I mean, he went from a youth player to just continuing to dominate. Delal, Robles, Bonnet, also from Shaq, were also on the World Games team. Really good, really talented. They've got a couple of nice stars from a few other clubs around the country. Clement Gifford, quite good as well. So be interesting to see. They're in my fighting for the fourth semi-final group as well.
I see. They've got a chance, but maybe not one of the thoroughbreds on paper before we get into this one. Sean, why don't you add some insight to what Lorcan's lovely, in a lovely way laid down for us already is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I agree with Lorcan's perspective there. I think GB are the strong favourites in this group. I would expect them to be able to pull away from the Netherlands and Austria, although both those teams have some good players. I don't know if they've got the depth to compete at the top level. France are an intriguing team, as Lorcan laid out. They have some really, really good players. They're missing a couple of people that might make the absolute ideal French team, but they're a strong team. They've got really good depth, and they definitely have the athletes to challenge Great Britain. But Great Britain have got a very similar standard of team that won Euros last time around. It's a little younger, skews a little younger. A few of the kind of mainstays of Clapham and Great Britain for the last few years have left the team. People like Josh Briggs and Conor McHale have gone to mixed, but you still got the names that people will have recognised for a long time. Justin Ford is still around. Justin Ford, up and coming cutter, lives in London. Yeah.
Young putter.
He and Ollie Gordon and Magnus Wilson. I'd keep my eye out for them if I was a viewer.
Yeah, they got a few over there that can still play all right.
Buying stock.
They've added some actual young players as well that are very good. People like Ethan Morrill, who's been a Chevron player for the last few years, really talented handler. He's going to be a big player for Great Britain in the coming years. People like Josh East, who is going to fly around, make plays. They've added some youth to the team that won last time around, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they gel. But I would say in their gelling process, if this is still going on at the beginning of this tournament, I think they'll be able to pull through this one. But the Netherlands, a very tall team, and coached, as you may know, by somebody who we might be hearing from later. I think he's slated to appear later on in this particular broadcast.
If they get a celebrity commentator coach, does that happen? Oh my God.
It doesn't work out, but it does happen.
Excellent stuff. So far 2 pools in. We all like the same way it shakes out. I do too. Great Britain, France will push them, but nobody's going to beat GB out of this pool by our estimation. Let's check in with the next pool, Pool C. the Italians, Spanish, the Irish, and Israel. I think we're on to Sean here for first impression. Have I got that right? Am I got my order right here, gentlemen? Yes, I do. Sean, take it away.
This is a very interesting one. This is
an interesting one
a
to me.
difficult one to call second, third, and fourth, to be honest. Mainly, I think Ireland are going to be good. They're going to be a lot of variance, I think, with Ireland. They've got some players who are going to be absolutely outstanding, some really, really good deep threats. But they are also a team that we've seen them in previous iterations of the Ireland Open team, where when things go a little wrong, they go a lot wrong. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes in this pool, playing against a team like the Italians, who they've got so many good players, but I'm sure Lorcán can go into detail here after talking with some of their players. They've got some really good players, some really good young players, but a lot of those good young players, I think, are going to be focusing on under-24, so it's going to be not quite as strong as they might be able to put together for Worlds next year. The Spanish, great on beach. The Israelis have actually had a few good years of building and have some really interesting players. This looks like a tight pool to me. I'd say the Italians will take it, but second, third, and fourth could be quite interesting.
Exciting stuff. Lorcán, chime in on that.
This is yes, a very, very spicy pool. The Italians, a lot of their players are focused on under 24. A lot of the players who are from that famous Italian under 24 team that did so well in Perth actually aren't re-upping for this European campaign. They went through a long campaign last year. It's very expensive. I think Zane, Nine, they're not going to be there. However, I mean, it's still Italy. It's still got talent coming out the wazoo. 15 players from the club formerly known as CUSP, Bologna Ultimate, as well as a couple from Costa Rica and Milano. I mean, Laffy, Chopo, Gopi, Tonetti. I mean, they've still got talent, and Andrea Tempora knows what to do with that talent. So they will be the main threat in there. I do think, because in Limerick, sunny Limerick, we have to remember that is a title, not a guarantee. So Spain, I actually think their beach ultimate, they had their beach championships there, I think 2 weeks ago, translates quite well to really shitty, windy, torrential weather, provided they learn how to handle wet discs. So doing that kind of more short game that's just really athletic, really running, will serve them quite well. Ireland, best comparison I can make for them, because obviously they've got their focus is split somewhat. Lots of talent, lots of representation, lots of clubs around the country. So how well that gels together will be interesting to see, but it'll be more like the 2015 Ireland team, which is an Ireland team that approached the tournament with no expectations, because that 2015 Ireland, again, a lot of their talent went to mixed, wound up getting silver. So I think they won't fall victim to things going wrong again, because they're not really expecting that much to go right. They're just going there to compete, which will play to their advantage. And then Israel know each other inside and out. Like, they might not have the biggest team. They have to travel the furthest to get here. Which is obviously quite expensive, but like 80% of the players play together on the junior team. Israel generally doesn't have under 24 teams because of mandatory military service. So then a lot of these players then play together in the same leagues. They're all quite close, so they know each other. They're very, very familiar with each other. They've been playing together for years. They had the Israel Cup there, I think, about a week ago. So again, loads of them played together there. They haven't completed team selection, but that's down to players being able to confirm whether or not they can attend. So that's going to be a tight-knit team that knows what they want. And in the first few days of the tournament, they're going to be a legit threat. They could throw some people out in the power pools and then maybe spin off towards the end of the tournament once the lines get thin.
Interesting stuff. You'll have to watch to see how this one shakes out. Of course, I agree with you both. The Italians are the strength of this group. I see them coming out on top. That second place is where it's going to be. The Israelis have not got too many wins on their European continental surge here that they've been having, being in the competitions for a while. We would love to see this be the year where they convert those close games into a couple wins, but they will have their work cut out for them. Let's move along to the final division. Pool D, pool, not division. Switzerland, Denmark, Belgium. Lorcán, take us there.
Well, I think it's Belgium. I think Belgium, they're the third team I have that are going straight to the semi-finals. They are absolutely loaded with talent, which I'll let Sean talk through a little bit more in detail. Switzerland, it's tough to know. They've got some good players. Sebastian Gleur is going to be leading them. He's well versed. Mixed results last year for Switzerland. Like they came fourth in 2019, but it's kind of tough to see how that'll translate. Flying Angels Bern did okay-ish at World Ultimate Clubs last year and then didn't go to EUCF. Free Speed didn't have a great EUCF. So it'll be curious to see what rolls out of those mountains to take on the rest of Europe. We know that they've got a hell of a heritage, but we're not quite sure what their future looks like. Denmark, this is the first international tournament Denmark will take part in the Open Division since Ragnarok folded. So I am curious to see what that kind of impact will have on the Danish community. We know KFK kind of picked it up. KFK did quite well at EUCF last year. They've got some great players. The two captains, Laurit Termitslev and Niklas Komens, again, I'm sorry for messing those up, are just stellar players, even if they're not the best at responding on Discord, but stellar players. And they're just going to be leading a team that's hungry and is out to prove itself. It's just with so many players moving on to the Masters division and an under 24, because KFK are quite good at the youth movement and there is quite a big community in Copenhagen. I'm curious to see how they'll go. I reckon Belgium stomp it, and then Switzerland, Denmark. Looking at it right now, to me, is like trying to pick a fight between two guys in the dark.
Fair enough. Why don't you take us a little further there, Sean, to see how this fight in the dark's going to
shed some light on Denmark, Switzerland. I'm afraid it's still going to be pretty dark. Denmark are definitely, as Lorcán said, the top of their team is going to be really good, but I don't know what their depth is going to be like. Then again, Switzerland have been struggling with kind of the clubs have been declining for a few years now. There's definitely still some good players in Switzerland that could come together to put a good team together. But I think I'd probably back Denmark in the fight there. But I think it's definitely going to be a battle for second place there, because Belgium, I agree with Lorcán, they are on the very short list of teams that could win this whole tournament.
Tell us about the firepower.
The talent there is absolutely
Belgium
ridiculous.
Right now,
You look
Sean.
at the players who big players for Mooncatchers. Obviously, you had some Latvian imports, but you bring in the two Yonkers brothers as the first people to talk about. Ben and Ref are absolutely outstanding. Ben obviously dictating the offense. Ref basically unstoppable going downfield. But then Gentle finished third in Europe in 2021, and they're bringing in some excellent players as well. Another set of brothers, the De Granja brothers, Lander and Toby. Lander is a really, really good player, very good with the disc, and Toby has been growing over the last few years, developing into one of the best deep threats, one of the best cutters in Europe. He's extremely strong going deep, and when you bring those two players in together with players like Matthew Muller, they've got the Van der Wey brothers as well, they've got Dan de Mare, who's one of the best defensive players in Europe. They are really set up, I think, for a big run at this tournament. They're still quite young as well. A lot of the players that are going to be big players for them are under 24 eligible. So this tournament might be kind of a coming out party for a very, very strong few years of Belgian Ultimate.
It could well be a very exciting roster. PJ de Moulignari.
We didn't even need to mention it.
So we don't even make
That's how good they are. That's how good this roster is.
It's great to see him back on these rosters. Yes. And if he can make an impact as well, like, geez, this team
I don't think he needs to. I think apart from on this, I think he needs to make an impact on the sideline where he can kind of quell those fires and help them like be focused enough. I think these guys are so on to go all the way if they can manage their own emotions on the way there. And I think that is something I'd look to PJ more. Because like you say, Raf is...
We haven't even mentioned some of the really good players that are incredible at indoors. Like, they've got a really, really deep... Sofiane Bontemps was fantastic at indoors, and he's on this team as well. It's really, really deep. It's going to be excellent to see them come together and start to really put up a fight with GB, Germany, France, the kind of the long time powers of Europe. Belgium are in that conversation now.
Yeah.
Excellent. Exciting stuff. Let's have a look at the whole division here. And gentlemen, as we did with the ladies, we're not going to funnel ourselves all the way through the bracket. We know these can shake up any which way in this division as well. So give me your champion, give me your finalist and your champion. Let's start with you, Sean.
In the final, I see Belgium. I think the power they've got, it could go a little wrong. They're still a little young. They haven't been tested at that top level as a country. Obviously, Mooncatchers went to the semi-finals of WUCC, and Gentle, as I say, got a bronze medal at EUCF. So they're bringing in some experience on the European level. So I think they're going to be really good, and I think they're going to kind of, like I say, break through at this tournament. And I reckon the winner is going to be Great Britain. I just think the depth, the experience of the top level that they've got is going to be tough for anyone to beat. They've still got Justin Ford, who in my estimation is still the best player in Europe. So when he needs to be, he can turn it on and he can beat anybody. So GB winning, Belgium second, but I think the top 4 or 5 are going to be, maybe 6, are going to be really, really close, and I really look forward to seeing who comes out.
Exciting stuff. Take it over to Lorcán. How do you see this at the pointy end?
I think I might agree that Justin Ford's still the best European player. I was just running through a few other names. Anyway, the pointy end. So the 3 teams I have making the semis anyway, GB, Germany, Belgium. I think that makes a lot of sense itself. You should look out for that Belgian-GB matchup that's going to happen in the power pools. Woo, hot tamales. The next 3 for me were Czech, France, and who was the other team I had in that section? Czech, France, Italy. Out of those, I'd go Czech making it, and then in the final, I'd probably go GB, Belgium. If the bracket can work out that way, which I'm not sure it can, but I would take Belgium over GB. I would take Germany over Belgium, and I would take GB over Germany.
Exciting stuff. I think I'm going to... I picked them in the last division, and I'm picking them here as well. But I think Germany is going to win, and I'd like to see Belgium pushing their way into that final. I'm not sure how that can happen, but if I'm just picking the 2 teams I see playing the best over the course of this tournament, I see Germany taking out Belgium in the Opens division. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much to Sean and Lorcán. Wonderful work, guys. Thanks for your digging and sniffing, getting all this information to present to our wonderful viewers. Of course, we've got a large handful of tournaments, as we mentioned in the last division, coming up. Lots to unfold now, gentlemen, before we get into this tournament in July. Any final words before we move ourselves into the mixed division? Gentlemen, last thoughts, Lorcán?
2 thoughts. One is keep an eye on the blog on the EUC page. It is being populated with a lot of really good stories and also some useful information. And the second one is if you are making the trip to Limerick, try to get to Donkey Fords if you can. It's the best fish and chip shop in Ireland.
That is info.
Nothing to add. How can I follow fish and chips? I'll make a beeline for it.
Wonderful stuff. Thanks to the esteemed gentlemen for joining us. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. And straight into the mixed division, our final division of the 3, of course. I am now joined with 2 more of our illustrious ulti.TV commentator analysts, Ravi Vasudevan and Benji Rees. Gentlemen, Benji, where are you coming in from today? How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks. And I cannot believe I'm saying this, I'm in sunny Wales. Normally, when you live in the valleys, it rains the whole time, right? Not to perpetuate stereotypes, but it's just a natural geographic feature of living in a valley, right? You get a lot of rain, but the weather's lovely out here. It's a lovely time since I moved to God's country.
Wonderful news. Ravi, yourself, how are you, and where are you?
Hey, Steph. Yeah, feeling pretty good. I'm back in the Netherlands. People might know that I was living in France for a little while, but last year moved back to the Netherlands, living in great city of Arnhem. Out here, and as previously mentioned on the last segment, I'm actually coaching the Dutch Open team, so I'm excited to prepare for this event as not just a commentator but also a coach this year. So
I'm just worried that you
do
didn't
better
want to
than
they
predicted us to do at that pool phase prediction.
Yeah, you should have done
stuff,
open, like put all the other teams on blast.
It would have been nice. Just pick your enemies, get them riled up when you get to play them. They'll have that one circled against Coach Vasudevan. We'll have to shut him up for what he said. Some of that noise. But we are going to talk about mixed, get you out of your division, but very much into both of your wheelhouses here. We know a lot about this division. So let's tuck in here. Let's have our first look at all the teams we'll be looking at. Benji, what is, again, can you just run us through the information on this screen for us, Benji?
This is lovely. 17 teams.
17.
What a wonderful format. 3 pools of 4 and 1 pool of 5. And then from there you go through to power pools. There's 2 top power pools which have kind of the top teams, and then there's a bottom power pool as well. and then from there you can cross up into the bracket if you're the top teams in the bottom power pool. If you're the top of the top power pools, you go straight through to quarterfinals. Otherwise, you've got pre-quarterfinals crossovers, that sort of thing. Great Britain are the defending champions, and as well as, I say, they're not kind of just defending champions. Great Britain have never lost at EUC in the mixed division, so they've got a huge weight of expectation on.
Or
correct.
They've never lost
won
a tournament. They've won every EUC since 2003. GB Mixed has always won.
So they've got a weight of expectation on their shoulders, I think.
Wow, I didn't know that stat. That's a great way to kick off the show. Thank you, Benji, for the tournament format explanation there. Wonderful stuff. Interesting division. The final last year, or 4 years ago, last iteration, of course, was a cracker. The Universe point, that final point by Rachel Turton as she went down with an injury at the same moment. The drama. What a game. A literal cracker, I guess. But on to 2023. Let's see how these flags are going to reshape themselves into pool.
Those who do not know their history can never relive it. The skies, the dives, the sideline smiles. Our past is held in photo albums, drinking stories. The present is a gift. And here at ulti.TV, we want to make sure we always appreciate it, capturing the immortal moments of Ultimate from around the world and making sure everyone can enjoy them for free, forever. Because the future belongs to all of us.
And have a look at Pool A first. And we will go to Ravi once they're all on here. We have the French, the Danes, the Finns, and the Slovaks. Ravi, first impressions, what do you think of Pool A?
Yeah, first impressions here. I've seen the rosters of France and Finland out of these. Haven't seen Denmark yet. But I will say that I think Finland is only sending a mixed team. I'll start there. So, though, when I looked at their roster, a lot of like the top, Otso, Atletico players that I know of weren't really there. So I'm curious if this is kind of exactly which kind of clubs are putting together on this Finland team. But yeah, I think this is a clear, somewhat easy win for France. I think Slovakia has not really traditionally been the strongest at the European level, and Denmark, yeah, especially since they have both an open and mixed team here, I don't think they'll have the depth to compete with France. After that, I do think that Finland, I would favor them to get second here over the Danes, and then Denmark beating Slovakia to finish things out. But France is a very, very strong team. They're missing a few of the stars from the last iteration, but they still bring back some people like Gaël Ancelin. They're bringing a lot of World Games players as well. Most of the World Games players, I think, they really liked that mixed experience and are bringing that back this iteration. France, they were really, really, last time losing by 1 point, as you mentioned, after messing up the gender ratio the last point as well. That was a whole crazy tournament, but I think they're really tooling up. They're a very deep country, and I think in all three divisions they're hoping to keep a very strong national team program. But yeah, I see them here as the clear favorites.
Excellent stuff. Ravi, Benji, weigh in on that.
Yeah, I think France number one is probably not an unfair assessment, to be honest. I'd have them up there as well. You mentioned having that World Games experience. A, they've got a good core to build on. They've got those leadership structures in place. And B, they've been up there at the highest level. And they took some names at that tournament as well. So that will give them a huge boost of confidence. If we look at the results from 2019, Denmark finished 6th in the end, and Finland finished 14th. Now, I know you mentioned that Finland is kind of only going mixed now, so that will concentrate a lot of their talent, but I think it's a Danish roster that shouldn't be underestimated, whatever form it takes. I haven't seen, as you mentioned, a full list of names yet, but there is, on the wonderful EUC blog that has been referred to at various points throughout the show, they're doing a little blog as well, so to follow their progress going up to the championship. They're hoping that, obviously, being close to the North Sea, that maybe those adverse weather conditions that Ireland can throw at you will work really well in their favour, because they'll be used to practicing in those conditions, and they'll be preparing some strategies to that effect. For Slovakia as well, I don't think this is going to be a team that's an easy out, certainly. They do have some talent. They've demonstrated that in some of the tournaments that maybe, I think, pass people by sometimes. Like they had a really sparky team indoors as well that was really good fun to watch. So certainly they're not a pushover at the bottom team in this pool. I think you probably raise an eyebrow at the depth potentially there. But if this is a Slovakia team that comes out hot and on form, then maybe not France, but certainly the other two teams in the pool, a strong start, and they could certainly light some fires, I think.
I like the French as well. They've got all those things you guys mentioned, and they've got Nasser Mbe-Vogel, the ageless wonder, sticking around. So that's always a one-up as well. Seconding, I think if it's between the two, all the eggs in one basket, Finland I like just a little bit better than Denmark for my money. So let's have a look at the next pool, Pool B. Great Britain, the undefeated, always champions. The Italians, their best friends, great rivals. Hungary and the Latvians.
This is spicy. This is spicy. I like this.
Yeah, Benji gets to go first on this one, huh?
Yeah, Benji does get to go first. I mean, it almost gets the instant pool of death. It comes to mind right away, but let's let you guys talk about this one. Benj.
We'll start at the top. Great Britain, we knew we were going to, with obviously France coming out in Pool A, when we knew that the way the draw works, Great Britain were going to be top in Pool D. Pool B. I know the alphabet. There's been a fair amount of turnover from the last cycle. We mentioned that a couple of players have come over from the Open division that we would expect to see there in Conor McHale and Josh Briggs. I think the women have probably, there's a bit more continuity there than there is from a lot of the male players. The coaching kind of squad managing side of it has passed over as well. So there's been some transition, but there's certainly enough kind of cornerstones in place that they're going to have their eyes set on the gold medal, and I think it'd be pretty hard to not have them, if not winning it, really challenging for it. For the Italians, we've seen in the past, they tended to focus on single gender and maybe let their use the mixed team as a place to bring through some of their younger players, some of the under-24s. So it's always a little bit aware for a country that doesn't necessarily play a huge amount of mixed, how much kind of gelling they're going to do as a week. I think you'd probably prefer to play them earlier in the week than you would later when they've had a bit more time out there in the competitive games. Hungary's really interesting because they play Ultimate their own way. Like, you watch them play and they've got quite an unconventional style, certainly. But you look at the results internationally and it's a little hard to argue with what they've done. EUC 2019, it didn't pan out great for them on home turf, but they blooded a lot of young players and that paid dividends. At the recent JJUC last year out in Wrocław, Poland, they took gold in both under-20 and under-17 mixed. Under-17 was European and under-20s was world. So, that's something that's tough to argue with. You cannot overlook those results. I think they don't necessarily play the international community that much. So there's always, I think, a few maybe teething problems when you step up to that level of competition. I think there were just, again, the more you play with each other and play against other teammates, the more you learn the conventions, though. Like, the spirit scores were a little bit low. I think they picked up as the week went on. Hopefully that's something that, again, they've looked at going forward. And then Latvia at the bottom. I mean, this is a really awful 4 seed to have in your pool, isn't it? Because I think we all know, at their peak, what the Latvians can do. Again, we've seen them go more single gender than mixed recently, although they do have some mixed experience in the past, so it's not completely alien to them. but you've got a lot of the main players there from the male side. You've got, Orlovskis, Betmanis, Abeltinch. There's no Malderis, but again, they've got enough depth there to overcome that. And the women are no slouches either. It remains to be seen kind of how good Lasma Klubitska feels with that knee, because obviously she's had problems there in the past. But if she's at full flow, then that is frightening. They've got Santa Sinica as well, Gasinia. This Latvian team can take names. And again, they have experience doing well on a world stage because they made it to the semi-finals of the World Under-24s in Heidelberg, Germany back in 2019. And a good number of these players were on that roster.
Wow, exciting stuff. There's a lot in it. Why don't you tell us who do you think's how it's going to shake out in this group before we give Ravi's juicy insights?
I'd have Great Britain 1, Latvia 2, and flip a coin for Italy and Hungary, I think.
Okay, fair to say. Ravi, give us your follow-ups on what Benji's laid down for us.
Yeah, Benji laid out a lot of interesting notes on this pool that are of course extremely important. Another thing to note, from my understanding, Davide Mori has retired from playing and will be coaching the mixed Italy U24 team here. So they're going to have that on their side. And when he coached the U24 team back in Perth, that he knows how to coach. He knows how to bring a team to excel at the right moments. They only walked
home with a casual silver medal, so yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, a silver medal, and they won basically a half of Ultimate against the US, maybe even 2/3 of a game of Ultimate against the US. So he's going to be bringing that. From what I understand, this Italy team is going to basically be all U24 players. So to allow kind of the people that are focusing on U24s to have an experience at EUC, maybe they're not going to focus as much on this mixed team. They focus more on U24, I'm not sure. But still, probably there's a lot of youth talent coming out of all the different hotbeds of Ultimate in Italy, especially Bologna. Like you said, Latvia only playing mixed this year. And, you say they have a bit of experience in mixed. You looked at that U24 result. Salisbury's has been the second or first best mixed club team whenever they go out there, as they made the final, I believe, 2 years ago. Playing against Krut, being one of the only teams to really give them a game even. So, yeah, I see this shaking out pretty similarly, though, where I think the Latvia GB game will be really spicy, but I think that GB will beat them on depth. I think Latvia's top end might even have something to be a bit stronger, like the top 2 or 3 of each gender might be stronger than the top 2 or 3 of each gender on the GB side, but depth-wise, GB is going to have their number. And just a note on the format, they will be carrying this game into Power Pool. So it will be a really important game starting off, because if you want to win that Power Pool and get that easy road directly into quarters, you want to win all your games in pool phase already, because that gives you a chance to kind of be there. So I'm guessing that one will be one to watch. I hope ulti.TV will be streaming the GB Latvia game.
Yeah,
Hungary, from what I was just told here, is bringing only 14 players, probably really taking the top talent they have in the country. They're not a deep country, but they've been playing a lot with their youth. We talked about that U20 results and the U17 results. I imagine continuing on already from that 2019 season where they brought really young players. This will probably also be a very young team, but they've been building a lot more since 2019. So I would say that Hungary-Latvia game could also be one that maybe Latvia has a better chance against GB and also would lose against Hungary in some way. I think this pool is going to be anyone's game, really. But if I had to call it, I would say GB, then Latvia. And I think maybe Hungary over Italy. And again, winning that game is going to be super important, because that gets you into power pools, which I think guarantees you a spot in the bracket. Whereas if you go to that lower pool, if you get bottom of this pool, you're going to have to win your pool or do very, very well in that last pool to make your way into the bracket. So every game in this pool is going to be a really important one, and be interesting to see who survives coming out the end of it.
Exciting
bang
stuff.
On, Ravi. One thing I want to add, that again, going to direct your attention to the EUC blog on the website, which is euc23.ultimatefederation.eu. There is also the Nation Spotlight on Hungary Mixed as well.
Wonderful stuff, gentlemen.
Just to correct myself, the top 2 of the lower pool make it into bracket play. So you still have 2 chances, not just the top 1. But yeah, anyways. Go on.
Overflowing information here. This is exactly what we needed. This is why we're doing this and bringing it to the people. Sexy looking division there. I see it the same. I see GB, then Latvia. I actually will take Hungary over Italy in the placings, and the Italians will finish fourth and see how that mops up. Let's have a look at Pool C. Austria, Poland, Switzerland, and Lithuania. Okay, Ravi's starting this one off for us. That's very different from the last pool.
Yeah, this is a very, very different pool. But, yeah, wow. I think Poland might actually be quite strong this year. I know that they are mentioning that they're building off of like back even when they went to World Games in 2017. This is like kind of that crew trying to build off of that and make a really powerful mixed team. I'm not sure exactly where their focus is. I haven't seen the full rosters, but I would back Poland to be pretty strong here. I think Austria, they've had some good success also. You know, the clubs went to Club Worlds with Wunder team. That was actually quite strong team that went last year. They have a quite deep country. But again, with things split, I do think the more of the top players are playing open and in the men's side. I'm not sure how the women's side is shaking out. And Switzerland, yeah, it's a country that I've played. I played in for quite some time. They generally put a bit more focus on their open and women's teams for the national teams. You know, the women's team, of course, getting a silver medal last time, and they're also not the deepest country in the world. But yeah. Last team here to talk about Lithuania, also putting all their eggs in one basket, coming together here, another Baltic country, like always a little bit behind Latvia, I would say, but actually not as far behind as most people might think. I think Lithuania, it will, if you know, bring in like Donata Basus, Barbara Kundalita, the Eurostars player, especially on the women's side, that dropped that Smile team that won the indoor, championship a little while ago. They get all of them. They get all the really big dudes on Varai, which Varai's been like one of the main open club teams from Lithuania. If they can trim down to only having the top guys from there, they can actually be quite strong. So I think I actually back Lithuania to win this pool. And then I think it's probably going to be Poland and then, between Switzerland and Austria. I have a lot of friends on this Swiss team, so I'm going to call Switzerland to win over Austria as the last one. So this is all topsy-turvy compared to the seeding here.
Wow, that is
Love it.
Lithuania to win the pool by Ravi. Benji, follow up with that.
Indoors, I'd agree 100% because Lithuania were phenomenal indoors. As part of the factor of you live in the Baltics, you play a lot of indoors, right, during the winter. So obviously that cuts down a little bit on outdoor training time. I think in the past they've never quite worked things out on grass, but as you mentioned, if they can get things clicking, absolutely they can take some metaphorical names in the pool. Looking at 2019 results, Austria were 5th, Poland were 9th, and Switzerland were 13th. So you would feel, there's pretty clear tiers there, but obviously there's going to be a lot of turnover. Switzerland, you mentioned having teams in all three divisions. That does naturally kind of spread out your talent a little bit. And as you say, they've never necessarily been associated with the mixed division. I think Lithuania topping the pool might be slightly too rich for my taste, but I'm more than happy. I would love to be proved wrong. Absolutely love to be proved wrong. I think just based on the fact that we've seen them play top-level mixed more often, I feel like I'd probably maybe lean a little bit to Austria. But again, it all depends on precisely how all those teams come together in the build-up. I think there's a lot of variance in this pool. This could go, like, you could throw all the names up in the air, just pull them out at random and say, this is how the pool would end up. And I'd probably believe you, to be honest. Also, having Austria, Poland and Switzerland in the same division is kind of interesting because you feel like those few teams might have been playing they might have their eyes on a few, nice, close warm-up games for each other, but maybe less so now, given that you're going to be in the same pool at EUC.
And so, Benji, if you may not be so rich as to put Lithuania at the top, it is that, did I get that correctly? It's Austria,
I'm going to go Austria, Poland, Lithuania, Switzerland, but I feel terrible about it. Like, I have, sometimes you'd be like, yeah, I've got all the faith in this. No, I feel I've got no faith in this prediction whatsoever. Absolutely none. And that's why this division, I think, is going to be so interesting. This whole division, but this pool especially is going to be so interesting to watch.
This pool's a mess. A lot of the Austrians and the Swiss with teams in every division, you don't really know exactly where their focus is, where their weight was, which team's kind of clicking best. I like what Ketchup did in the club scene last year. The Austrian mixed team, they were going well. Of course, the Poles with when they hosted the World Games, they had the chance for that team to form, and what Flo's done. I will say Poland, Switzerland, Austria, Lithuania. So I think I'm almost upside down of what Ravi said. But that is an interesting one. This means that the last division is good. It's going to be the last pool here. Well, let's have a look.
Hold on. Just a couple notes. Oh, you're going to go on. A couple notes first. Just to note, all 4 of these teams are going to be at Windmill. I just checked. So we will have a much better idea of what this pool looked like after that tournament in Amsterdam, along with a lot of the top mixed teams coming out of there. So if you're looking to get a bit more understanding of how these things are going to shake out, definitely check out ulti.tv's coverage of Windmill. I'm sure you'll get all of these teams in a streamed game throughout there. There was a question about how the crossovers, we have a little chat going on with some of our contributors, and so maybe our viewers also want to know about this. How the crossovers work. It's pool A and C that cross over. The top 3 of both pools will cross over, carrying those games in. So there'll be a pool of 6 with A and C together, and B and D. So this pool will cross over with A.
Thank you very much for the fine tuning. And with that, we will move to the wild final pool, Pool D. Having a look here, who are our remaining countries? Who's been keeping tabs? Germany, Ireland, already difficult. The Czech Republic, and Belgium. Yes, of course we have 5, and Norway. We've got the Norwegians in there. This is the 5-team pool, as we've mentioned. Whose turn is it to start off here, gentlemen?
I think it's my turn to start.
You guys both think it's your own. Oh my god!
You did A and C, and I'm doing B and D. I think, or no? Did we do that? No, we did that backwards. Yeah, that's right. It's your pool.
Okay, Benji, take it away.
I feel sorry for Norway. Of all the teams that entered mixed at 2019, they ended up picking up the wooden spoon. I feel like they're probably a better side than that, but it's a long week, and especially in those conditions out there in Jura, which were quite un-Norwegian, I think. That would drain you. Again, Belgium, I feel like we're probably looking a bit more in the single genders rather than mixed, although I'm pretty sure Honeymoon is going to be at one of the elite invites, probably Leuven, next week, so want to keep an eye on there. Germany, Ireland, and the Czech Republic is a proper slugfest. Germany, in many people's eyes, might just be the favourites to win this thing. Like, they legitimately might be people's favourites, and you look at some of the talent, and you can see why they're retaining a huge core of that World Games team, kind of most notably probably Lev Kovalchuk and Nikki Priyan, but they've just got the depth they've got there amongst the women is great. Caro Tisson's siding on. Svenja Pruns we've seen what a defensive presence she could be as well. I've been a huge fan of Mindful Mentions Milko Koschnitsky for a long time, and she's on the team as well. The open side is no slouch either. Again, integrating talent from all over the country. I think one of the most notable players on the male matching side playing mixed was originally an alternate for the World Games, but ended up making the roster and did not look a step out of place at all. Torben Hernschmeyer, he's playing mixed as well. Going to give a huge shout out to ulti.TV's own Joel Ben Joseph, who is also playing. There's a decent number of Wall City players who are making the step over to mixed. So obviously there will be that little bit of transition there for them, but you bring that extra chemistry, I guess, when you've got those long connections that you've formed. They've got some former kind of big names in the mixed division as well, players like Lasse Hogan. So there is a lot of talent on this German roster, and as we saw at World Games, like they take it super seriously. So they're not one to overlook. Ireland, I think, picking up gold in the women's division last time. Their mixed division roster is ridiculous. They're looking to go one better than the silver medal they picked up at EUC in 2015 out in Copenhagen. And a lot of those big players that helped Ranelagh capture that amazing EUCF title last year. By the way, you should all go and watch the wonderful Ranelagh history that you can find on our channel as well. So those are players like, you've got your Ferdia Rogers, you've got Sam Murphy, you've got the Tigers, Bogan and Deavy. Robbie Brennan's coming back from Canada to play. On the women's side, you've got the Gilheeney sisters, Grania McCarthy's coming back over from London. Like, there is so much talent on this team, and there's so many names you could pick out that I haven't even mentioned that are like, oh yeah, you've just also got casually a Jack McNamara, and you've got a Sarah. Like, this Irish team is stacked if they can live up to the weight of expectation that's probably that they might feel is on the shoulders with such an all-star roster. And for the Czechs, like, they've always been a bit of a bogey team, I think, for the Irish across the divisions. So that's always an interesting matchup to watch because, I don't know, I just feel like I always have fun watching Czech Ultimate. Always.
Exciting stuff. We're just getting some information coming in here as well about potential opening games, but we'll continue with the division here, or the pool breakdown, before we get that absolutely confirmed, if we can share what the first game of the tournament will be. Benji, did you have more to add?
I think I need to take a breath. I'll let Ravi jump in.
Okay, let's jump in, Ravi.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, I think you almost mentioned her full name, but Sarah Melvin also coming back to play after coaching Ranelagh last year and taking the year off to coach. And of course, she was an all-star, Eurostar player, and a huge key part to why that Irish team won gold in the women's division before. And they're going for, so far now, Ireland's won gold in the women's with the women's team. They've won gold in open with Ranelagh getting the EUCF, and they have yet to do a golden mix. So I've heard that's kind of part of they want to get all three divisions down with this smaller ultimate community. They don't have Fiona Myrna, who was the other star player that along with Sarah Melvin that helped them get there. So I think that is a key piece that if they really want to go for gold, it might be a little bit lacking, but all with the open players and everything, this is going to be a very, very strong team. And Germany, like you said before, this top two is going to be a clash. I think the rest, the bottom three is kind of right outs. Like, it's going to be these top two kind of crushing everybody. I don't think the Czech Republic will be much of a foil for Ireland in this division, especially with so much talent going to open from their side. So I do think Czech will take a fairly easy third, as I think Belgium and Norway will both be even like, there's like notches. There's like Belgium and Norway, which I can't really say who would win out of there. Then the Czech Republic is like a significant step above that. And then Italy and Germany, a way higher step above the Czech Republic and the rest. So the big question is who wins that Germany-Ireland game? And it's a tough one because
big question, Ravi.
Yeah, it's a big question, and it's I think we can confirm now that's the opening game of the tournament. So everybody definitely make sure you get there early so you can watch this huge clash.
Am I right?
Well, I mean, we talked about bloodbaths with Lorcán in the open division, but we may well get one right out the gates, kicking the doors down here open up the EUC with a Germany-Ireland that is confirmed. First game of the tournament, obviously on stream at ulti.TV.
I mean,
in this Pool D in the mixed division. Benji, keep going here.
That's the first game of the tournament. Would it shock anyone if that's also the last game of the tournament?
It's very possible. It's very possible. These are both contenders.
And as we get there, it may not shock anybody, but is that the way you guys are going to boil it down for us? Let's start with...
Well, I think we didn't pick our winners of the pool yet still, so we got to still do that.
Yeah, I don't want to rush through here, Ravi.
On my eyes, I think Germany is going to have the slight edge, especially with all those World Games talent. Levka Waljak was the best women matching player from Europe last year. She wasn't able to win an award because she didn't play EUCF, but she played for Revolution. She played for Boston Brute Squad. She played on the German World Games team. Some people say she's a little bit, too trigger happy with the disc, but her athleticism is just unparalleled in this division. And Sarah Melvin's going to have to do a great job to try and match up with that somehow, I think, is the person I would say from Ireland is the best shot against her. But she's going to be unstoppable. And she's got Jakob Diekman from All City and all kinds of really, really strong players on the open side. You already mentioned Lasse Hogan. I think I give Germany the edge.
Yeah, you don't.
Germany edge in
You
Pool
don't
D
shut down a player like Volchak. You just do your best to try and minimise her. I see the pool shaking out in roughly a similar way, like as you see it there. But I'm gonna get myself some pints bought in Ireland by the time I arrive. I'm gonna say, with the home crowd behind them in the opener, Ireland ride that out to top the pool. I don't know if they'll finish higher than Germany overall, but I think that in that opening game there'll just be a little something about the Irish, and they'll take it.
Benji likes the Irish winning the opening game and as such taking the pool. Ravi sees it as they roll out there. I will agree with one of those two. It's not going to be anything else at the top. Man, you're right about Walzak. Levka had an incredible season. I think she is the best female matching player in Europe as well. But geez, that Irish team is going to have some magic too on home court, on home turf. I will still take the Germans. I think the Germans.
I think that's a little bit of a head versus heart one, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, one last thing about it, though, I think Germany will have most of their players all together, really training together. I do know that a lot of the Irish players aren't even going to be in Ireland this year. Some of them are living in London, some of them living in the US. Robbie Brendan's living in Canada. There might be a bit of a come together with all-star power, which might give them more of the edge at the end of the tournament. But in that first game, if they haven't had as much time to gel, that helps me give Germany the edge.
Nah, Smurf will make some ridiculous layout grabs on that far sideline, wonderfully captured by our ulti.TV camera crew.
Yeah, skip leg day, chicken legs, get it done. Okay, so we've got our favorites. These pools are interesting distribution indeed. I guess the crossovers are B with D and A with C, so that gives us some
Who did
logic.
France pay for this setup they got here? They A and C, the BD pool is a little bit stronger than the AC.
Their way through, as Ravi alludes. That makes it a little bit easier getting them into a final.
With the way the draw is, France look like they've got a really good shot at getting a good path to a semi-final, for example. Topping one of the power pools, you get so you go straight through to a quarter-final. But when they get to the knuckle end of the tournament and you're facing the Great Britain's, Ireland's, Germany's, maybe a Latvia potentially, having not played teams that we, certainly from what we know so far, we expect to necessarily be quite in that tier. Can you then make the step up in competition is interesting.
They will have played them at Windmill, though. France also going to Windmill. GB, Germany, Ireland also at Windmill. Latvia is not going to be there, but they'll also be getting to play against the likes of Ellipsis coming over and Krut, and so they're going to get that experience before that tournament. But like you say, that's different than at the event itself, right? They have a bunch of easy games that could put them in the wrong mental
for Windmill
space.
Is obviously doing a really good job.
The in-tournament battle hardening that they may lack because of the pool division. Debatable stuff indeed. But let's see, Ravi, we're going to get you to kick us off here. You can break down semifinalists if you like, but what I'm most interested in here is finalists and
top
champion.
2. Yeah, the top 2. So I think, let's see, if France get their way through to semis, like you say, they'll be going up against 2E. So who's the 2 of the other pool that I think is going to happen? Because I think with the B and D, it's probably going to be, that's going to be really hard there at the top. That's impossible to call. So I think what I'm going to do is just forget all the formatting and just look at who I really think the 2 strongest sides are here. And I think I'm calling that we're going to have a repeat of the opening game. I think it's going to be Germany-Ireland in the final. And then... And I'm sticking with my earlier pick. I think Germany's going to take the win. I think Germany. It's weird. I didn't think I would think that they're the stronger team. I think France and GB are definitely up there with them. But yeah, it's just what I'm thinking right now. If you ask me 5 minutes from now, I probably would change my answer. But I think this is the most competitive division out of the 3. There's more teams that have a shot to win this one than in any other division, and I'm very excited for it. That's all I could say. Well, let's see, Germany.
If Germany had all their talent, I absolutely would pick them for the gold medal. But not all of the players that we saw dovetail so nicely at World Games are on this roster. So can they get the other player? Can they get other players to step up into those roles in their absence? Because everything worked so nicely, so smoothly at World Games that can you find players with exactly the same sort of skill sets? How good are you at tailoring that system to make the pieces fit? You may accuse me of homerism. I've heard it said before. Until someone can beat Great Britain in this division at EUC, I find it really hard to pick against them. If it was Germany with that record, I'd say the same. But they've shown that they know what it takes to win at this level. They've done it before. There's a decent amount of turnover from last time, but there's still a number of key players that are kind of staying over. So they understand what it takes in kind of the real depths of the tournament. Even when the going gets, let's face it, pretty insane. You can't get more mad than that final last tournament. And I feel like winning a game like that does really hold you in good stead. I'm also going to unearn all of the potential drinks I earned by saying Ireland are going to win the opening game, by saying we're going to get a rematch of the 2015 final, and Great Britain are going to beat Ireland.
Great Britain will beat Ireland by Benji's estimation. Excellent and exciting stuff from our mixed division analysts here. By my estimation, I like everything that these guys have said. Germany, Ireland, Great Britain, Latvia, France stand out as 5 that any one of them would not surprise me if they won it. I will not say it's going to be a rematch of the first match, so I would love to see that happen. But I think one of those countries is going to get in. And I picked the Germans in the first 2 divisions. I'm going to pick Ireland to get into the final. But I think they are going to be beaten by the French, who will tiptoe their way through the tulips and the easier path, get to the final, and hopefully, to make my pick look good anyways, gel at the right moment.
More homerism over here.
I mean,
Stef's pretty much French at this point. So
yes,
he's drinking whatever the French equivalent of Kool-Aid is. It's probably really nice wine, let's be honest, which actually doesn't sound so bad.
But yes, I haven't picked the Brits. They have thrived and had given us every reason to pick them through their pedigree and results over the years in this tournament. But I like to see it get shaken up here, and that's where I'm putting my money, so to speak, on this one as far as our picks go.
I'm really excited. I just want to say that I'm really excited to see. Obviously, just EUC, but as well the fact that we're all over the European season beforehand, so we'll get a lot of time to familiarize ourselves more with the rosters, the teams, the play styles, the characters. Like, by the time EUC started, we could already be looking mighty foolish, and there's nothing tastier than some humble pie.
Nothing at all. It's an amazing season ahead of us. We're all just chomping at the bit for this one to kick off. As we noted, all these tournaments coming up, the lead-ins, the European circuit, the independent grand tournaments of Europe that are always on the stage. We're having one. We are ready, and we hope you are too at home. I'll give Ravi any last words before we send these wonderful analysts off. Anything to say, Rav?
No, I think I've said it all. I've said enough. It's a really exciting year for European Ultimate, so can't wait.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you all at home for joining us. That's all 3 divisions now covered. Share them with your friends. Comment. Let us know what you think of how we've broken down these divisions. Let us know what you think of our picks for winners. Tell us that we have got it all perfectly figured out, or we're totally wrong on all fronts. We want to hear what you have to say. And more than anything, follow the action every step of the way through the tournaments and get yourself hyped, ready for EUC in Limerick in July on ulti.TV. Thanks for joining the show, and a quick reminder to find and follow both the EUF and ulti.TV on all the socials. Click those buttons, the bells, subscribe, become a patron, do all those things. Stay informed more than anything. Follow the action. Do yourself a favor. You will thank yourself for it. EUC will soon be upon us, and the EU tournaments that lead up to us even sooner. Very soon, Spring Invite Series happening in West London, Wrocław, Poland, Padova, and Leuven. Sorry for my Wrocław pronunciation. I will improve with time. Of course, ulti.TV will be there in Belgium and Italy for those locations of the Spring Invite. So you will be getting that action very soon. Make sure to tune in, and always stay locked on ulti.TV. Milan's face enter.
Have fun editing all of that, Milan. It's like a 3-hour video, I think, so far. So.
What the hell is going on?
By the way, Steph, congratulations on the huge opening of the Mario Brothers movie. I know that you poured your heart and soul into it.
I love it.
Save that for the show, Benji. Save that for the show. Come on, man.
I'm worried if I left that in the show, we'd get DMCA'd, so I figured best not to.
No, DMCA's. I gotta get the water bottle, Phil.